Hello and welcome guys to a new episode on SportPredictorFanatic. Today we're going to predict the Serie A round 3 matchups that are being played this weekend, of course. Last weekend, of course, if you haven't seen it, go and watch it. I did pretty well. I mean, I didn't do amazingly, but I made profit. So that's what it's all about, right? That's what it's all about. But yeah, we're actually going straight into it because we're just going to get some more profit here. So let's go. We're going to start off with the matchup Venezia against Torino. Venezia actually lost the first matchup 3-1 to Lazio, but then drew 0-0 against Fiorentina. Torino actually drew their first match 2-2 against AC Milan and then won 2-1 against Atalanta. These two played actually each other in 2022 for the last time, where actually Venezia won 2-1. But I do think Torino do have the better team, the better form at the moment, and therefore will win this matchup. Then we have Inter Milan against Atalanta, of course, a pretty big matchup here already. Inter, of course, started the season off with a 2-2 draw against Genoa and a 2-0 win against Lecce. Atalanta started the season off with a 4-0 win over Lecce, but then lost 2-1 against Torino. Last season, these two, of course, played each other with actually both times Inter winning 2-0 and 4-0. The last time actually Atalanta won this head-to-head was back in 2018. And since then, it's been 5 wins for Inter and 6 wins for Inters and 5 draw. Notably, though, the last 4 games were actually won by Inter. And actually, the last time Atalanta won away at Inter was even further back. It is even way back to 2014. But yeah, I think Inter have the better team and play a little bit better than Atalanta at the moment, but the difference isn't that big, of course. But I think Inter will get their win here. Then we have Bologna against Empoli. Bologna drew their first game 1-1 against Udinese and then lost 3-0 against Napoli. Empoli started off way better with a draw against Monza and then a win of a 2-1 against AS Roma. Last season, these two, of course, played each other twice, with Bologna winning 3-0 and 1-0. I think Bologna do have actually got the better team, but Empoli do actually have the better momentum, form at the moment. And with that said, I actually think it's going to be like a really close match. And with that, it's going to become a draw. Then we have Lecce against Cagliari. Lecce have actually started the season off with 2 losses, a 4-0 against Atalanta and a 2-0 against Inter. Of course, not an easy start. And Cagliari started the season with 2 draws, a 0-0 against AS Roma and a 1-1 against Como. These two, of course, played each other twice last season, with both actually ending in a 1-1 draw. And I think if we even go further back, the last 4 head-to-heads were actually a draw between these two teams. And actually the last time Lecce won a match at home against Cagliari was back in 2008. But they haven't played each other that much because since then there's only been 3 draws and 1 win for Cagliari. With that, and the fact I actually think these teams are pretty close, not only in statistics, of course, of the past, but also at this moment. And with that, I actually think it's going to become a freaking draw. Then it's Lazio against AC Milan. Lazio started off with a 3-1 win over Venezia, but then actually lost 2-1 against Udinese. AC Milan actually started even worse with a 2-2 draw against Torino and then a 2-1 loss against Parma. Last season, these two, of course, played each other twice, with AC Milan actually winning both 2-0 and 1-0. And actually in the last 7 times these two have played each other, Lazio actually only won 1 and the other 6 were actually won by AC Milan. I think both of the teams are not playing the best at the moment, but I think Lazio is at least playing a little bit of football at the moment. And I think AC Milan are just playing that bad at this moment that I actually think Lazio is going to win this matchup. Then we have Napoli against Parma. Napoli started the season surprisingly with a 3-0 loss against Verona, but then actually came back perfectly with a 3-0 win over Bologna. Parma has started the season even better than I think they could have imagined, with a 1-1 draw against Fiorentina and then a 2-1 win over AC Milan. The last time these two teams actually played against each other was back in 2021, where Napoli won 2-0. Even though Parma has had like the better start, I think the team that will win is Napoli, just because they have the better squad. They now won 3-0 against Bologna. They're now all right, you know. And with that, I actually think they're going to win. Then we have Fiorentina against Monza. Fiorentina started the season off with 2 draws, a 1-1 against Parma and a 0-0 against Venezia. Monza drew the first match as well with a 0-0 against Empoli, but then lost a 1-0 against Genoa. These two, of course, played each other last season, with actually Fiorentina winning both times 2-1 and 1-0. These two have actually only played each other 3 times at the Fiorentina stadium, where Fiorentina actually won twice and the other one actually was a draw. And I think these teams are pretty equal at the moment. And with that, I actually think this can become another draw. So yeah, I will Fiorentina Monza, a draw. Then we have Genoa against Verona. Genoa started the season with a 2-2 draw against Inter and then a 1-0 win over Monza, while Verona won their first matchup with 3-0 over Napoli, but then lost perfectly 3-0 to Juventus. These two, of course, played each other last season twice, with Genoa actually winning both a 1-0 and a 2-1. Genoa actually have a very good record against Verona when playing at the Genoa stadium. The last time actually Verona won in the stadium of Genoa was back in 1989. This was, by the way, also the first time these two played each other at the stadium, at the Genoa stadium. But yeah, I think these teams right now, not dwelling in the past, but I think these teams now are pretty close. But you know what, like a tad bit better, like mine a little bit better. So I guess Genoa will win this matchup. Then we have Juventus against AS Roma. Of course, not a big matchup here. Juventus is actually the only Serie A side at this moment with the only one that has been able to win both opening matches. They won with a 3-0 win over Como, and a 3-0 win over Verona. AS Roma, of course, started way worse with a 0-0 against Cagliari and then a 2-1 loss against Empoli. Last season, these two, of course, played each other twice, with one ending up in a win for Juventus, 1-0, and then one ending up in a draw, a 1-1. The last time actually Roma won away at the Juventus stadium was in 2020. Since then, there's been 3 Juventus win and 1 draw. But I think Juventus at this moment are looking a little bit stronger than, well, everyone in the league, but especially AS Roma, because they have not been doing well at this moment. So with that, I'm predicting Juventus to win. Then Udinese against Como. Udinese has actually started off the season with a 1-1 draw against Bologna and then a 2-1 win over Lazio. Como started with a 3-0 loss against Juventus and then a 1-1 against Cagliari. These teams have actually not played each other since 2003, where Udinese won. And they've actually played each other 4 times in the past, with Udinese winning 3 and 1 ending up in a draw. And I think Como is still not going to get their first win here because I think Udinese at this moment are the better team, are better in form, and will get the win here. With that said, we've predicted all the matches, so now let's get into my betting part. My betting part is gonna be this. I'm not gonna do 5 matches, I'm gonna do 6. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be putting money on Torino to win. Odd for that is 2.07. Then Bologna against Empoli to become a draw. The odd for that is 3.75. Lecce against Cagliari to become a draw. The odd for that is 3.2. Lazio to actually win. The odd for that is 2.85. Then Fiorentina against Monza to become a draw. The odd for that is 3.9. And then Udinese to actually win. The odd for that is 2.06. And what I'm going to do, because these are of course 6 matches, which is one more than normal. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 0.5 euros on trebles. Well, there are 20 trebles with 6 betting teams. I don't know how to say it. But there are I have 6 put on 6 matches, let's say like that. You can make 20 trebles with that. So I will put 0.5 on every treble, which comes to 10 euros in total. And yeah, like this, I'm hoping to get some profit just like last week. So yeah, let's go for that. But for now, I want to thank you all for watching. Please have a great day, and I will see you.